Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Myers Studio. Usually this is the time we have Masterworks, but this month we have a little different program going on. So tonight we're going to be using this time to do the second part of our portrait 4-value compositional study. Okay, just as a reminder, this is a 9-inch by 7-inch study that's going to turn into an 18 by 14 painting. Again, we're concerned about the big divisions of the big masses. As you can see, I've completely left the hair out of this and all of the features. What I'm really concerned about is the connection of the head, neck, torso, and shoulders, and then that relationship to the background. Okay, so we had the first part of this in class this morning. This is a demo, a 30-minute demo I've recorded, and it will be on the school site probably tomorrow. Probably not enough time to get it up tonight. And what we're going to talk about today is the second part. Okay, but so this will be called No Audio Demo on the school site, and it's just 30 minutes of drawing with no audio. But you can witness my process straight through with no chit chat or anything like that. But tonight, we are going to continue with what we were talking about this morning. Right? So we talked about how on a portrait, the compositional study is truly about the form and wrapping around the form and how these forms are connected. What's stretching, what's bending, where we're going. So tonight what I want to talk about is shadows and edges. Right? Because the shadow and the edge of those shadows is what's going to really bring this thing to life. It almost sounds too simple to be true. And here's the simple thing that's going to happen. When we have a round form, there's a hard edge where we start, a hard edge where we finish, and a soft edge between the light and the shadow as it turns around. So that's hard, soft, hard. Now, if you can't see this edge, because it's up against something and it's casting a shadow, well then that cast shadow becomes your hard edge. So we still have the sequence of hard, soft, hard. Okay? So, that's the first time you've heard that. That may be a little crazy. But watch how this thing comes to life as we do this. So just to give you catch up what's happening, is our light's coming from the front. And it's going to be hitting right here on this corner. And then here's the corner of the head running back that way. Corner of the face running down that way. The forehead running across like that. Here, the neck. Going to be attached like that. And then that light's going to hit the back of the shoulders there. So, what does that tell us? Well, just the form shadow. Again, I don't want any features. We just want to see this in the abstract. So let's say that this is the edge of her head. So that'll be a hard edge. But as this turns from light into shadow, there's going to be a soft edge. Oops, who didn't set the clock? Who didn't set the clock? Boom. All right, so we've got Miss Katie's here. Good evening, Miss Katie. Miss Susan. We got Cindy back in the picture. Woohoo! Jason was finally able to do the studio where Cindy could join us. And hey, 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 somebody living in Mexico? What's going on down here? Good evening, Mr. Tom. Good evening. All right, so we're back on part 2 of our compositional study for this morning, and we're talking about edge sequences. So we're going to have a hard edge here where this starts. We're going to have a soft edge here as this turns into shadow, a hard edge where this ends. But this is sitting on top of the neck, casting a shadow. Casting a shadow across that neck, and that neck has a form shadow as well. So we'll have a hard edge until we run into the form shadow, and then that'll be a soft edge. And that hard edge takes the place of our last hard edge. So we'll have hard, soft, hard from the cast shadow. Okay? This will cast a shadow onto the body. And the arm. But we're going to simplify all this down. There's the other shoulder. So cast shadow. And then this will be a form shadow as it turns around there. And the torso is going to turn around before it gets to the arm too, isn't it? Because that's another little form. And that's a soft edge. So, what do we have? How are we doing on time? How are we doing? There we go. We're doing good on time.
We're good.
So, this form ends right here, and we need a hard edge where it ends. Okay, and then the neck comes out from here, down from here, kicks out like that. So this hard edge casts a shadow, which becomes this hard edge. And this casts a shadow, wrapping around, showing the form. And then this is the shoulder, which is the end. So hard edge. And then we want our shadow flat, meaning not a lot of variation in value or no variation in value, with just the edges being different, meaning the edges between hard and soft. And then let's see this as a dark shape that it is, and kind of just let it melt away instead of being boom. Here too, this is coming out into space, and so let that So now the question is here, is this all a soft edge on this side? This is all a hard edge out here because it's the end of the face, the end of the neck, the end of the shoulder, the end of the arm. So does that make all of this a transition from light to shadow inside here? No, not quite so quick. This is a transition from light to shadow, so this is a soft edge. But this is a cast shadow. The cast shadow ends in a hard edge. And we want that cast shadow to describe the form it's sitting on. And then that cast shadow is going to run into the form shadow of the neck. Form shadow, cast shadow, form shadow, then a cast shadow, so that means what? Hard edge. To a form shadow, which means what? A soft edge. Now, just because you have a soft edge doesn't mean you lose the shadow value. It just means where the shadow and the light meet, it's a softer meeting. And an abrupt edge here, and then we're going to let go with some vagueness down here. And we're letting go with some vagueness up here. So do we have a single dark shape? One dark shape? Emerging and dissolving with hard edges and soft edges. So what about the other side? How do we get hard edges on the other side? Because we're not really working in line, we're working as mass. Well, if you've been around, you know the answer to that. And the answer is background. So if we make background gray, then our light will stand off of that and we can have a hard edge around our background. We'll leave this a little bit open because that'll be a harder edge. We can close this one up because that'll create a hard edge on that side. So all of this I'm doing is to just create that edge sequence. I'm just trying to be very clear on this edge sequence to see if we can't get this thing to appear three-dimensional, right? Because part of the portrait is it needs to come off of the background. So part of that is that dark against a light, and our light against a dark. Okay, our light against the dark. Are we getting three-dimensional? I think so. I think so. So, we have a single dark shape, don't we? Glory, glory, hallelujah. And at the same time, we can see the portrait there, can't we? We see the big pieces, the big division. So we're missing one little big form because we don't go from here straight over there, but we have this form, and then the torso is a form before the arm's another form. So we're going to show this rounding by looking at this rhythm. And maybe indicate kind of the armpit there. And how are we going to do that? We usually want to draw an armpit on a lovely young lady. So we just indicate that that's where the folds go to. Soft edge on this side as it turns around. Hard edge on that side. Okay, making sense, I hope. How are we doing on time? Got a few minutes? Well, what was I, 5 minutes late or what? How much time I got left?
Yeah, more like 15.
I got 15 minutes left? Or is 15 minutes late on the timer?
No, we started like 3 minutes in. We should have turned the timer off.
Okay. Excuse me. So we've got this movement coming up this way. We can have a counter movement across this way in the background. And then we always want ways to get in and out of everything. That's how that's where the connections are. How we get in and out of things. Right? How does it go? There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. So make sure you leave a crack. If the light doesn't get in, oof. Oof. Okay, the air could spill into part of that back part. Could spill in and out right here. Oops, bad Jason. I just ruined that shadow, didn't I? Careless artist. Careless artist. Okay, now let's take our eraser to create that number 2 value. Get the feeling of an egg going on here. And then that neck, let that neck slip through, show some light. Over the top, down there. Now we talked this morning about seeing this as one part of the parentheses and seeing this as another part of the parentheses. So in the biggest, simplest form, where's our big corner? Well, the head, there's the corner. Then from the top to the forehead, corner of the face. Here's the corner of the neck. The corner of the shoulder. Right, since our highlight goes, so we're saying from this point you go back in space that way and back in space that way. Here you're going to come a little bit over because of the turn, but here again we're going to go around and around. So down this way and down. That's what a highlight indicates. So let's go along those paths. We're getting a little bit more descriptive. And then from here, it's just really a matter of finesse. What do I mean by finesse? Well, hopefully you saw how the background has a big part to play in creating this light. So now the next big part is, how is this shadow going to interact with the background? Where is it going to be against background and light? Where is it going to be against background and shadow? Because again, not only do we need to separate things, we need to join things. Let's see if Jason can put his pencil where his mouth is, his charcoal where his mouth is. All right. As my hand says to my mouth, shut up and draw. Shut up and draw. So maybe we could let this be a little bit more mysterious here. Get that background value a little closer to that shadow. And maybe it can go a little bit darker so we can hold that background light. You got to have a dark to hold the light. Light without shadow has no substance. Come through there. Also, it might be a good idea to show the weight by pinching in here. Meaning, like this is a little bit of a darker background. What if we let this darker background... What does that do? It creates this pressure right here. So this right here holds really tight. But this is open. This is open. So it's like we've got a nice firm, but we don't have to do it everywhere. Just in one or two little places. And then we can be a little bit more open, a little bit more free in others. Right, since we want this going, let's go ahead and get this shadow coming over here. Hold that light. Let that light start gently. Alright, so we'll kind of let go a little bit. What do you think? Are we creating an interesting composition? And does it have anything to do with the nose or the... Well, eventually. But at first, what about the big pieces? What about the big pieces? Hey, what about me? What about me? Shakti, welcome, welcome, welcome. So I just can't reiterate enough that the finish of your painting is so much more in your initial big pieces than you can possibly imagine. So often people want to just skim right past this and get into the length of the nose and the size of the eyes. But what about where those eyes and nose and mouth and ears and hair and curls, where are they going to live? What's going to hold them up? So what you want to work with your compositional studies are those underlying big pieces. That's what we want to find out. That's what we want to find out. So, how can we get this to come off of that even more? Well, this is foreground, so this needs to be more or stronger than anything back there. So even though there's light back here, I can just make it slightly darker light than any light on the model. Okay, and I think that's gonna about run us out of time. So that's probably gonna be about all we have time for this week on the compositional studies. But again, as we move into August into our 3-month course, we've got 2 weeks of compositional studies. So we're really gonna be able to work all of this out, right? Because if you don't, your painting can't be as strong. But if you do, it's amazing how strong your painting can be with very few details. Very few details. All right, so what I'm going to do here to finish up is just clean up these edges. Sometimes it's worth noticing what the little things do. So let me go ahead and try to pick up any loose charcoal so I don't make a bigger mess. I'm trying to clean up my... Alright, then with my kneaded eraser, if I can make some clean, straight edges here along the edge, look and tell me how that affects the compositional study. Okay, so we're going to leave this there. Is there some room for a little bit of improvement? Of course, there always is. There always is. But the idea is to see how the big pieces fit together. Is this neck twisting? Does it feel like it twists? Is this shoulder in front and that shoulder in back? Does it feel like this is coming forward? Does it feel like that's going backwards? Does it feel like this side of the head's closer to us than that side of the head? We need that with the big pieces before we even start thinking about eyeballs or eye sockets or where the nose goes. Okay? Again, what we're doing is we're taking our time with the start because we understand that to get a good finish, this has to be right first. Okay? All right, everybody. So I hope you all got lots out of this. Again, the links will be on the school site for this week under the portrait. In addition to this morning's demonstration, part 1, and this evening's demonstration, part 2, tomorrow there'll be a link to this, and it'll be called a no audio demo. And in 30 minutes, what I did was I just went through and without talking, just did this demonstration. I suggest you understand the points I'm making here in the talk, and then see if you can't go to the no audio video and look and see how I did it. A reminder, in the school, you can always change the speed of the video to twice as much if you want. So if 30 minutes is too long, speed that up to double time. That'll take it down to 15. Depending on the size of the movie, it might have to be divided into a part A and a part B just to get it loaded in. But that will be there probably by tomorrow. The YouTube link will probably be up there a little bit later tonight. All right, everybody. So thank you. Tomorrow morning's morning jump start is going to be replaced by the beginning of our compositional study for our moonscape. Okay, then tomorrow night's sketch club that will happen on Facebook will be part 2 of the moonscape. Okay, again, in the school on this week, our whole schedule is listed where you can find each of these programs. This probably will be the last month that we send some of this public on YouTube and Facebook. So if you're digging some of this and would like to get in on it, check out the website, find out about our school, ask us about more information if you can't figure out where to find that, and we'll show you how to participate. All right, so thank you everybody. Love you all, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.